thank you to a place called North Carolina. And I have these incredible women from North Carolina right over there. And they've been to, I shouldn't tell you, 129 different rallies. Can you believe it? Look how great they look. And their husbands love them. I don't know how the husbands do this. They travel all over, and finally we have one in North Carolina, nice and easy. It's nice and easy for you. No, they're incredible people. 129 rallies, it's great. But it's really tremendous to be back in this beautiful state with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. This is a nice arena. How about the people outside? That's a lot of people, too. Would anybody like to give up your seat? Would anybody? You're just not generous people. As you know, 3 days ago, we officially defeated the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. He quit because he was losing so badly in the polls. He was down in every single poll and down by a lot, so he quit. But really, what happened was the leaders of the Democrat Party, in a very undemocratic move, the bosses, they said, either you get out or we're going to throw you out using the 25th Amendment. That's what happened. You know that. So what? Well, you know that. That's what happens. That's what happens. These are nasty people, the Democrats, so we better beat them or we're not going to have a country left. You're not going to have a country left. So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris, Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe. The most incompetent and far-left vice president in American history. By the way, they did a poll. She was rated the worst vice president in history. I've never seen that poll before, but that's the poll. Together, we will win North Carolina in an epic landslide. We're way ahead in the poll. And we will take back that beautiful White House, and we will very simply make America great again. For 3.5 years, Lion Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe. She is a radical left lunatic who will destroy our country. If she ever gets the chance to get into office, we're not going to let that happen. You know, I was supposed to be nice. They say something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice. And when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay? I'm not going to. They want me to be nice. Thank you. Kamala Harris is the most liberal elected politician in American history. Did you know that? She's an ultra-liberal politician. She's absolutely terrible. She's, as you know, more liberal than Bernie Sanders. Can you believe it? She's rated far more liberal than Bernie Sanders. And she's now trying to get rid of her record, but she can't. She's going out and saying things that she doesn't believe in. If she ever got in, she'd destroy this country so fast. So she was the border czar, but she never went to the border, right? She was appointed by this horrible president, this horrible guy. How this guy got to be president in his basement. He stayed in his basement. And we did a lot better the second time than we did the first. How this guy got to be president, what they've done to this country in 3.5 years, and we're going to turn it around. But what they've done to our country is unthinkable. As Kamala threw open our borders and allowed 20 million illegal aliens to stampede into our country from all over the world. As vice president, she cast the tie-breaking votes that created the worst inflation in a half a century, decimating middle-class families and hurting very badly, as you know, all people in North Carolina. And by the way, Laura says hello. Laura, do we love Laura? How good is Laura? She is terrific. She has done a tremendous job. You know, I'm saying it now because if I forget it later on, they'll say he's cognitively challenged. I don't want to be cognitively, no, but I want to thank her because she's unbelievable. She loves it. I'll introduce Michael in a couple of minutes, but I want to remember to introduce Laura. She's been a fantastic daughter-in-law and wife to Eric. And she happened to name her one beautiful daughter, you know what? Carolina. Carolina. I said, which one? Which Carolina? She said, well, North, of course. No. Let's call them both. Do you mind if I call them both? They've both been great, frankly. And when Kamala Harris was sent to Europe to deter Russia, what a joke that was. From attacking Ukraine, to deter Russia, what a joke that was. From attacking Ukraine, how did that work out? Russia answered by launching the invasion just 5 days after she left. Putin laughed at her like she was nothing. She is nothing. She's going to baby. She's so bad for us. Everything Kamala touches turns into a total disaster. She's destroyed San Francisco with her policies. Check out San Francisco. 20 years ago, it was the greatest city in our country. Today, it's not a livable city. She'll destroy our country if she's elected, so we won't let her be elected. We can't let that happen. Unbelievably, despite all of the damage she's caused, radical, liberal Kamala Harris now wants a promotion to deliver 4 more years of chaos. We've had the worst 4 years. You know, I say about Biden, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country, added them up, they won't have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden has done. But this November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. And yet the fake news, which a month ago said she was incompetent, said she was a stiff, just a dopey stiff, the worst. Nobody talked to her. She was firing her staff left and right. The staff hates her. Oh, wait till you see the stories that are going to come out about her staff. Oh. If that were me, they'd be all over the place. But the fake news tries to cover her up. But wait till you see, she was the worst with the staff of anybody. But the fake news is talking about lying Kamala as if she's the savior of our country. That she's so brave. I've never seen a turnaround like this. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, she was the worst politician in America. Now they say, isn't it amazing? Look at her. She's so beautiful. She's so magnificent. She has a crowd of 1,000 people the other day. And the fake news, and they worked hard to get that crowd. We have crowds of 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people. And the fake news said, oh, her crowd was amazing. It was amazing. You see it? The other day, she had maybe 1,000 people. I doubt it. They worked their asses off to get those people to go, and I wonder what they gave up. They said, oh, this is such a big crowd. She's got such momentum. I don't think she's going to have a lot of momentum after this speech because I'm telling you about her, right? We're telling you the facts. I'm just giving you the facts. But they said it was such a big crowd, such a beautiful crowd. They never mention our crowds. Like this crowd, look at this crowd. You could multiply her crowds times 20 and 30, and she wouldn't get what we get. 107,000 people recently in New Jersey. We might win New Jersey. We're up in New Jersey. 82,000 in South Carolina. 82,000. And by the way, we would have had a number here that would have been through the roof. But, you know, we are confined. As beautiful as this arena is, I just met the owner. He said it's an all-time record. Because, you know, they have basketball, hockey, but with basketball, hockey, you can't fill up the floors, right? So we set the all-time record, and he's a very nice gentleman, great family. But we set the all-time record. And if this thing were twice as large, it would be filled up with the people outside. 68,000 people in the great state of Alabama, 68,000. And then we did one in the South Bronx, and that can be a rough place. But we did one, and it was like a love fest. This was an amazing thing. We had 25,000 people in the South Bronx. Amazing. And if I ever had a crowd like Kamala, assuming she had 2,000 people, which I don't think she did. But if I ever had a crowd, they'd do headline stories. Trump is over. It's all over. It's not working for him anymore. They never mention the crowd. I tell those, look at all those cameras back there. Look. And I always say, but they never do it, turn the cameras around to show them the crowd, but they never do it. They never do it. They never want to do it. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. I don't know why. Even the semi-friendly camera, they don't turn. You know, I used to think it was a physical thing with the camera. You know, the steel, you can't turn, you can't turn. And in 2015, it started right from the beginning, these big crowds. But now I have to tell you, there's more spirit now. We won in 2016. We did much better in 2020, but it was rigged. It was rigged. But this is bigger than 2020. This is bigger than 2016. And I think the reason is you like me a lot, but you know what you really like? When you look at the incompetent administration that we have with the inflation, with the Afghanistan, with all of the things they've done wrong, everything, the borders are. When you look at how bad they are, you say, you know, I like Trump, but now I really like Trump because we don't want to go back. Front row Joes. Front row Joes. You know, front row Joes, they've been to 201. I hate to tell you that, North Carolina. They beat you, 201. And they were to a rough one last week. That was a rough one. I saw them. They were sitting in the front row, and things were happening that weren't too nice, right? Amazing, right? But they were there, and they didn't move. You know, amazing. Nobody moved. When a bullet goes off, it's a freak thing, but a bullet goes off, crowds always run. They call it a stampede. Nobody ran. And we had 55,000 people. Nobody ran. You could see the small group we had behind. And, no, you could see the group behind because the camera was on. We had a tremendous, you know, like hundreds of people from the press. We had cameras going on. And you could see behind me, they were like this. How about the guy right behind me in the black with the green hat? And he's looking like this. That guy I want to meet him. But they had a lot of guys like that back there. But did you see him? They've only played that clip about 5,000 times. They see it every day. It's over and over. But you see how brave. Normally when something like that happens, everybody but Richard will leave. Richard will stay. He's a tough cookie. But no, everybody scrambles. They run. Nobody ran. Same thing with the group out front. The group out front was the big group. Thousands and thousands of people. Nobody left. They just stood there watching because they saw that I was in trouble. Either I was in trouble or something was happening because I had a lot of blood on my hand. I checked out. I said, oh, gee, what's this? But no, they saw that. And when I went down, they saw that, and nobody left. It was like, the whole thing is like a big love fest, let's face it. It's a whole big love fest. It's amazing. We love you, man. We love you. We love you. We love you. That was a horrible thing. That was a rough thing. And say what you want, the Secret Service, the ones on this day, on the dais, these guys right here, the tough cookies, they ran. Bullets were flying. Bullets were flying, and they were running right at me. And it was a rough, horrible, horrible time. And they said, sir, we have a stretcher for you. I said, you're not putting me, I'm not getting on a stretcher. They had a stretcher. I said, that's not going to look very good if I get carried out on a stretcher. Hello, everybody. Thank you, everybody. They said, I'm not getting, where are my shoes? My shoes got knocked off. They tackled me so damn hard. But it was a terrible thing in so many ways. And as you know, we lost somebody who was fantastic, Corey, fantastic. His family is fantastic. And two other great people. These are great people. I got to know their families a little bit. And, you know, the public has really been generous to them, too. They opened up their... I won't even tell you, the numbers are so incredible. But they opened up their hearts to the three of them. And these two were hurt very badly, but they're both now in pretty good shape. They'll soon be in very good shape. So, But I just looked down here at Front Row Joe's, and it just reminded me of that incident a week and a half ago, right? You were right there watching it. You saw it. And you guys, by the way, weren't moving either. I saw you. You didn't move. You were just, they were standing just like they're standing. By the way, weren't moving either. I saw you. You didn't move. You were just, they were standing just like they're standing right now. They were standing. They were, they're great. They're great. Sad, such a distressed, sick world, but you know, it could be caused when they call you a threat to democracy. You never know what causes it. I'm a threat to, they're a threat to democracy. They're a threat to our country, period. But that was some time we had. That was some rough time, but it was incredible. The people I got to know through that, I got to know some unbelievable and really brave people. But the next time they show that clip, which will be as soon as you get home, they'll show it about 30 times. They show it every day over and over. But watch the people behind. They always stampede. If a bullet goes off or something happens at a soccer stadium or a stadium, and we had more people than most of those stadiums would have, everyone runs. Nobody ran. They stayed, and you have to look. The one guy, he just was so angry. He's looking. I gotta meet him. There's something about brave people that I love, right? People that love our country. He's out there. He's like up there. No, they're great. They're great people. And we had a great convention. We had a convention that broke all television ratings. How good was the Hulkster, right? Oh. And Kid, he wanted to be a part. He was fantastic. But they were all fantastic. It was the greatest. It was just a flawless convention. It was great. And the television ratings were record-setting ratings. You all read that. They were record-setting ratings. And it was just an honor. The stadium was beautiful. Milwaukee was beautiful. Wisconsin's promised me they're all going to vote for me now because we put $250 million into their economy. So we're going to win the great state of Wisconsin. But Milwaukee was great. They did a great job. The stadium is new. They built it for the basketball team, which is excellent. You know the Greek, right? The Greek. He's a good player, but they built it for the team, and it was like new. And it was one of the most, I think it was the greatest. I really believe it. It couldn't have been better. It was the greatest convention that anyone's seen thus far, Republican or Democrat. But getting back to a subject called Kamala, who's the worst? You know, I ask you this question because this has never happened before. So Biden's running. I wouldn't say his debate performance was one of the best, right? Do you agree? That's where it all started, with the debate. The downfall started that night with the debate. The debate was like, that was a rough debate. He said, y'all had a bad night. No, he had a bad night. He had a bad everything. He had a very bad night. But it started really with the debate. It was all, you know, the game was up. They say the jig was up. And it was indeed up. But it started with that. And then it only got worse. And we were leading him by 11, 12, 14, 15 points. And then he decides to get out because the bosses said, we're not going to have you. He didn't want to get out, but they told him, you're getting out. They said, you're getting out. You're getting killed in the polls. You can't win. You saw that. You can't win. You're getting killed. So now they bring in this one who's worse than him. She's worse than him because he's a fake liberal. You know, he wasn't that liberal. He was fake. She's a real liberal. She really is a real liberal. She's much worse than him. Now, if we start beating her in the polls by 10 or 15 points, are they going to bring in a third candidate? It's like, you know, Trump is killing this guy. All right, out. Let's bring in a new one. Out, out. And then maybe at some point they get one right, but when will that stop? And, you know, the guy had 14 million votes. So much for democracy. You know, they talk about democracy. He had 14 million votes, and they said, we're going to give it to somebody with no votes. She had no votes. In addition to her horrendous record as vice president, Kamala Harris has also been caught red-handed perpetrating the biggest scandal in American political history. For 3.5 years, Harris shamelessly lied to the public to cover up Joe Biden's mental unfitness, claiming that Crooked Joe was at the absolute top of his game. I don't think so. I don't think so. I wish him well, but I don't like him. He's not a nice person. I mean, he's not a nice person. He's trying to put me in jail. Why would I like him, right? That's the first time. No, first time. And she's the one behind it. And she's got a new line, you know. She's going, I'm the prosecutor. She's one of the worst prosecutors in history. She destroyed San Francisco. I'm the prosecutor, and he's the convicted felon or something. A radical left judge in an area where every one of these cases, every one of them is brought by them. So think of it. They get me to that position, and then their campaign says, I'm the prosecutor, and he is the convicted felon. That's their campaign. I don't think people are going to buy it. And we won our big case. You know, we won the case in Florida. That was a big one. We won that one. And I got out by beating their Justice Department. And he got out of the same case, except his was far different because he had 50 years of documents, right? He got out by being incompetent. The prosecutor said he had no memory. He basically said he's incompetent, so he shouldn't stand trial. Can you imagine? He can be president, but he can't stand trial. What's that about? No, but it was all headed up by her because she's a prosecutor, a really bad one. If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country. In a year, this country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job. A vote for Trump Vance. How do you like? How do you like? J.D. Vance. How do you like him? A vote for Trump Vance administration is a vote to restore leadership, competence, common sense, and strength back to the Oval Office like we had it just 3.5 years ago. If Kamala Harris gets in, she would be the most radical far-left extremist ever to occupy the White House times 10. There's never been a lunatic like this in the White House, and we've had some bad ones. But the worst one is Joe, actually. As a senator, Harris was ranked the #1 most left-wing Democrat in the Senate. Think of that. She's ranked the #1. That's not what this country wants. She makes Bernie look like a moderate. You know, he looks like Bernie Sanders. He's actually quite moderate by comparison. Here's just some of her crazy liberal record. Kamala Harris co-sponsored Bernie Sanders' $32 trillion plan for a socialist takeover of the entire U.S. health system, which will be a disaster and will bankrupt Medicare and Social Security. They're gone. And remember, Social Security is going to be gone anywhere if we're not elected, because they're putting all of these millions of people that are pouring into our country, they're putting them into Social Security, Medicare, schools, hospitals. And we all have a big heart, but some of those people are tough, from prisons, from mental institutions, terrorists. When asked if her plan would outlaw private health insurance for 180 million Americans, replied, "Let's just eliminate all of it." That's all she said. We'll eliminate all. That's nice. Thank you very much, Kamala. She endorsed free taxpayer-funded government health care for all illegal aliens, everybody that walks into our country that's illegal. This is why they come. When these stupid people, they're stupid, low IQ people, when they say, we're going to give you health care, we're going to give you everything, they come. You're not going to say, we're going to give you all of these things. They're going to come, even if they're fine in their country. And people are being killed in the caravans, especially women. They're dying on the way up. It's horrible. It's horrible. You have to see the real numbers. She co-sponsored the $100 trillion Green New scam with the goal of completely abolishing the oil, coal, and natural gas industries, which would reduce the United States to a third world country. No more oil, no more gasoline. Good luck with your electric car that goes for about 45 minutes before you have to get it. Do you know someplace like in the Midwest, did you see? They built 8 chargers. You know, that's sort of like the equivalent of a gas pump. They built 8 chargers for $9 billion, and 2 of them don't work. That's a big problem. And if we were going to charge up the entire country for the electric car, if we were going to charge up, it would cost $5 trillion. That's more money than we would have. We would have to file for bankruptcy. And they don't care. They say, let's do it anyway. She said that a 70 to 80% tax hike is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed. She wants it 80%. You know, I gave you the largest tax cuts in history. She wants to take them away and increase your taxes. I don't think you're going to be too happy. Kamala publicly boasted, quote, "There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." She wants no fracking. Now, that pertains to Pennsylvania, Texas. It pertains to Oklahoma. It pertains to a lot of other places, more so than you, but it pertains to you where your wallet, because you're going to be paying a lot of money. You're going to be paying so much. You're going to say, bring back Trump, please, please, please bring back Trump. We want Trump. We want some common sense, please. She supports mandatory gun confiscation to rip firearms out of the hands of millions of law-abiding gun owners. She wants to take away your Second Amendment, which we need. Lion Kamala is also a total radical on a word called, do you know this, right? A word called what? Abortion. She's a radical, crazy person. When you compare my position on abortion to that of Kamala Harris, my position is 8 points higher in the polls, and that's because she is so radical. She wants abortions in the 8th and 9th month of pregnancy. That's fine with her, right up until birth, and even after birth, the execution of a baby, because that's not abortion, that's the execution of a baby. You remember the governor, you remember the former governor, the current governor is excellent. The former governor of Virginia, he said, yes, we may have the baby, and then we decide with the mother what to do with the baby. This is after the baby is born now. She supports that. She supports taxpayer funds to pay for abortion for any reason whatsoever. She even voted against legislation that would require medical providers to give care to babies born alive after an attempted abortion. Think of that one. Whereas our position is that abortion is now back to the states. You know, for 52 years, they've wanted to bring, it's Roe v. Wade. They wanted to bring it back to the states. It wasn't about how many weeks and how many, everybody wanted it. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberals, conservatives, they wanted it brought back to the states. And because we had a very brave 6 people on the Supreme Court of the United States, so they were very brave. After 52 years, they allowed it, but everybody wanted it. And they were brave to do it, and now it's up to the will of the people in each state, and it's happening in Ohio. They voted, and frankly, it came out to be more of a liberal policy, but they voted, and it's getting back. In Kansas, you saw what happened there, somewhat of a liberal policy. Texas goes, and Alabama goes, and other states, but it's all being voted on by the states. It's back in the hands of the people, and the state returns the age-old question to where it belongs, and if the people, and it belongs over time, and you see what's happening, and you see how it's working out, like Ronald Reagan, very importantly, I happen to support, you have to go with your heart, but I happen to support the 3 exceptions: rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think that's the way. But follow your heart. But you also have to remember, you have to get elected. You have to remember, because we have elections, and elections are about a lot of other things, too, that are very important. But you have to get elected. But Ronald Reagan was for that. I was for that, the 3 exceptions. And as Vice President, Kamala Harris cast the tie-breaking vote to cut, as you know, Medicare by $273 billion. She cast a vote to cut Medicare. Nobody knows that. She doesn't want people to know that. Now what she's doing is she's running away from Israel. She refuses to go to Bibi Netanyahu is in Washington. She refuses to do that. Even if you're against Israel or you're against the Jewish people, show up and listen to the concept. But she's totally against the Jewish people. And it amazes me how Jewish people will vote for the Democrats when they're being treated so disrespectfully and badly. It amazes me. It's shocking. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kamala even wants to pass laws to outlaw red meat to stop climate change, and she is... You know what that means? That means no more cows. You know, this is serious. No, this means no more cows. I guess eventually she's going to mean no more people, right? No more people. So if you want socialist health care, nation-wrecking inflation, the death of American energy, and a lying radical left liberal San Francisco extremist as your commander-in-chief, then Kamala Harris is your candidate. She's the one for you. Just like she destroyed San Francisco, she will destroy our entire country. And let me tell you, it's in pretty bad shape right now anyway. What they've done in 3.5 years, especially, I mean, think of Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment, day in the history of our country. We got out of weakness. We were going to get out, but we were going to get out of strength and dignity. We were going to get out. They left, you know, $85 billion worth of brand new equipment, brand new, beautiful military equipment. I rebuilt the military. They got equipment that I bought, and they left it in Afghanistan. And you know that Afghanistan now, the Taliban, Afghanistan is the 2nd or 3rd largest seller of military equipment in the world. They're taking this gorgeous stuff and they're selling it, and they're making a fortune because they don't need 700,000 rifles and guns. They don't need 77,000 trucks and cars. Many of them are built with all steel bottoms. They're all guarded up for the horrible bombs that they had to endure. They're all very expensive. These are very expensive things, and they're selling them now because they just need a tiny fraction of what they were left. We were going to take it all out. We were going to keep Bagram, the big air base. We had 13 soldiers killed. We had 47 soldiers horribly, horribly hurt. No legs, no arms. Nobody ever talks about them. They talk about the 13 dead. They never talk about the 47 that have been so horribly hurt. I mean, just, it's so bad. It's so horrible to see. But 47 is an important number. Maybe there's something to it. You know, 47, that's an important number. And basically, she's a very bad person, and she shouldn't be running for president. She is a threat to democracy, a true threat to democracy. She'll destroy our nation. But if you want no inflation, low gas prices, how about 27 cents? And we had it actually lower than that. If you want energy independence, and even now energy dominance, we're going to be dominant. You know, you have to see the chart. And my favorite chart of all, of course, some of you would understand what I mean, was the immigration chart. Because I looked over and I said, look at that chart. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's my all-time favorite chart. Man, am I lucky to show that chart? I said, let me see that chart. Let me see that chart. Pull it down. That wasn't good. That's my all-time favorite chart. It showed how great we did on immigration. My last week in office, we had the lowest number of illegal aliens that we ever had coming across our border. I was very proud of the chart. You see it go like this, and then it goes like a skyrocket. But forget that. I like it for other reasons, too. I will sleep with that chart for the rest of my life. But if you want the greatest economy in history again, and freedom, if you want freedom, real freedom, because we're going in a very bad direction, then you must vote for a gentleman named, perhaps you've heard of him, Donald J. Trump. Perhaps you've heard. Gotta get out there. Kamala Harris's California socialism would kill the American dream forever. You know, you don't hear about the American dream anymore. We're going to bring back the American dream for our children. Under Trump-Vance administration, and he's terrific. By the way, he's been incredible. You know, he wrote the great book on workers, about how workers were being horribly taken advantage of. Became a movie, big best-selling book, became a great movie, actually. And he's a great guy. Went to Yale Law School without any connections because his father passed away and his mother had some difficulty. And you get into Yale without any connections, that's pretty good. And he was a great student. Then he met his beautiful wife at Yale, two smart people. It's really an amazing story. Amazing. Became a senator from the great state of Ohio. Ohio loves him. So he's exactly what we want. And he's a very common sense guy. But we'll bring back that American dream bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Bigger, better, and stronger. And remember, there's no issue on which Kamala has been more unhinged than her wild pursuit of open borders. She's crazy. She's crazy. Who could want open borders? Who could want that? It's like, who could ever want men playing in women's sports in a much smaller way? Did you see a beautiful woman volleyball player 2 weeks ago got badly hurt. I didn't know you could get hurt in volleyball, but when the ball comes back at you at 140 miles an hour, I guess that can hurt. Got knocked out. But playing with a man who transitioned. And she was a top player. She said, I've never seen a ball come at me like that. I played volleyball for a long time since I'm a little girl. I've never seen a ball, Richard. She said, I've never seen a ball come. What about race car drivers? Do you want to have a couple of transitioned race car drivers? Maybe that's okay. Actually, that could work. That could work. I have a good one for you I'd like to recommend. That could work, maybe. But she said, I've never seen a ball come. Or the weightlifting records. You see what's happening there? For 18 years, they had a record. 18 years. A quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on the barbells, right? A quarter of an ounce. Little tiny thing. And she goes, Olympic tryouts. Mom and Dad are in the front. And I hate to do it. You know, my wife says it's so unpresidential when you do that. Can you believe it? So I'm embarrassed. I used to give it a big push, but now I'm embarrassed. You know, I know I'm embarrassed to do it. She said, darling, your speech was wonderful, but please do stop with the weightlifting and the swimming. It's so unpresidential. You know, she's a class act. But I said, but people like it. People like it. She looked good 2 weeks ago coming into that arena, right? Melania. She's a class act. Yeah, turn off your cameras for a second, okay? Boy, that's a lot of cameras. Man. No, they get it up and they can't quite do it. Oh. Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. And a guy comes out for the tryouts. He comes out. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't really tried it. Oh. Well, give it a shot. Bing, bong. Right? How crazy is it? Or the swimmers, the All-American swimmer. She's getting ready. She's going to break the record. It stood for 12. And she's beautiful, beautiful, strong. And she looks left and she sees all the girls she's grown up with. Because as Richard will tell you, those great, talented people, Richard wanted to drive race cars more than anything else. But he didn't quite have the courage to put that pedal to the floor like a couple of your competitors that we know so well, right? So instead he said, hell, I'm going to own the cars and I'm going to make a lot of money. This is too much for me, right? He had Dale Earnhardt. These guys were going around the track, and Richard's driving. He said, I don't know. I can't do that. I understand. That's the way it is. But he became the best at what he did. And some others, too, that I know that are friends. It's a great, by the way, that's a great sport. That whole thing is great. How you do it is amazing. It's so amazing. We should send you into, I've always said, get some of these guys. I have a lot of friends in that world. I don't know. I think, is it Roger Penske?